President Trump halts US funding for the World Health Organization over its handling of the coronavirus pandemic.
Thank you very much. The reality is that the WHO failed to adequately obtain, vet, and share information in a timely and transparent fashion.
More than 1 in 5 deaths in England and Wales is linked to coronavirus, as figures show 6,000 more people died than expected at the beginning of April. The International Monetary Fund warns the world is facing a recession far worse than the crisis of 2008. Polling is underway in South Korea's parliamentary elections. The result is expected to be influenced by the government's handling of the Covid-19 crisis. Also coming up, why does Covid-19 make some people much sicker than others? A new study in the UK is trying to find out. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has extended his country's lockdown to the 3rd of May. The 3-week measure was announced last month with only a few hours' notice. It meant that millions of poorer workers lost their jobs. India has reported nearly 9,000 active cases of coronavirus and just under 340 deaths so far. From Mumbai, our correspondent Yugita Limai has this.
Jobless in the city for weeks. All they want is to go back to their families. There's no home to stay inside here. Beaten and chased away, many simply find shelter wherever they can.
20,000 feet high, saw the lights below me.
Bringing music and light into uncertain times, the multiple Grammy award-winning singer-songwriter Mary Chapin Carpenter performs for you from her home.
And he set out to collect £1,000 for the NHS. Now he's at over 4 million. War vet Captain Tom earns praise from around the world for his fundraising efforts.
President Trump says he'll withhold funding for the World Health Organization, claiming it failed in its basic duty when responding to the coronavirus pandemic. Mr. Trump accused the organization of failing to investigate the outbreak in the Chinese city of Wuhan, where the virus emerged. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres says now was not the time to reduce the organization's resources.
Mr. Trump said the WHO had promoted what he called China's disinformation, leading to a wider outbreak of the virus than would otherwise have occurred. He claimed the disease could have been contained at its source with very little death if the UN agency had objectively assessed the situation on the ground.
There was credible information to suspect human-to-human transmission in December 2019, which should have spurred the WHO to investigate immediately.
Responding to the president's announcement, the United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said it's not the time to reduce the resources for the operations of the WHO or any other humanitarian organisation in the fight against the virus. It's my belief that the WHO must be supported, as it is absolutely critical to the world's efforts to win the war against COVID-19. Critics in Washington say the president is trying to deflect blame for the spread of the pandemic in the US. The Trump administration has been criticised for a lack of early testing for the virus and for playing down the threat of COVID-19.
One of the first countries in Europe to impose a lockdown is easing restrictions from today. Children in Denmark will return to primary and nursery schools 4 weeks after they were closed. Other restrictions on borders, leisure venues and gatherings of more than 10 people remain in place at the moment. The number of hospital admissions there has fallen since the beginning of this month.
The German Chancellor Angela Merkel will discuss possible ways to ease the lockdown with regional leaders today.